Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. As you can see by the little bit of time lapse in the front there, we have pulled the GLA into the workshop. For those of you that have missed this build or any of the other builds, consider subscribing to us, Salvage Rebuilds, where we're doing cars like this all the time and got various other projects on the go, like the classic Range Rover in the background there. Quite a lot of interest in this car in the first video we done on it. It is a 2015 GLA 200 AMG line, and this car is actually unrecorded. It has not been subject to any insurance claims. It was third party only, and as you can see by the chassis leg, that side and this side, it's been hitting the front around here and pushed it all over. Now, when we did the first video on this, we wrote out a list of parts worst way and started hunting. So bits we didn't even know if we was going to need, like an airbox and wheel arch liners and plastics and bits and pieces. We priced up everything, but the bits for this car are so spiteful where it's so new. What we've decided to do today is actually bring it in, because quite a lot of you keep asking, and Chris said, do you know what, Rob, it'd be a good idea, let's get it in, let's get some of it stripped out and actually look what parts on that list we don't need, and then we can continue on getting the rest of the little parts we do need, and then we can have a bit of action and try and get this car back to its former glory. So I'm not going to waffle on too much. We are going to crack straight on and start removing things like the bonnet, front panel, etc. I don't need to go into it, but we need it all out of the way so that we can see what we're up against. It is a non-runner, so, you know, we'd like to look into that as well. That chassis leg is touching and it's ripped the belt off there. So we would like to have a good look at that and just check on the damage and see what we're up against. Let's crack on and get to it. You couldn't see a great deal there, and that's why I've cut straight back in now, just to show you what it is that we was up to. We was actually removing both seal covers, and obviously when we put it on the jig, they need to be exposed, but the whole underneath of the car was actually covered with all, I suppose, what are they? Yeah, trays. They're like cardboardy material, aren't they? Fiberglass panels. So we've got all of those off, and it's really, really good news so far for me, in the respect that I actually thought that this was part of a subframe, these aluminium bars, and straight away when I bent down, they're just like the Evoque. So they're bolted into the subframe, and if you look at that subframe, it actually looks fine. We can see a lot of oil there, and there was quite a lot outside, and it does look like the thermostat housing's broken away there. There could be a hole in the sump. We just don't know yet. So now we've got all them off, we're going to lower it back down and whip both wheels off and continue removing a load of this crash damage so that we can see more of it, and also I can show you guys as well. It was reasonably quick, but, you know, like I keep saying recently, I want to try not to time lapse and show as much as I can. So on the driver's side we are at the moment, and now that wheel arch liner's removed, look how much better you can see. You can't see it from here. It all looks okay, but if you look from here, we know that this one is bent round that way. But Chris just said, Rob, that's well repairable. We'll be able to align that and get that perfect. Moving on. Sorry guys, I'm skidding around on my chair, being lazy as well. Guys, there is the damage. Look how far round. I mean, we couldn't even possibly show how far out that is. There's not really a way of telling you, but there's the back of the shop, and this front end here, let's zoom out. That's it. This front end here actually would come out to about here. So we are about that far out past the shock, and that should be in the same place as that. So where that's hit that side, that's pushed that right round. Got your ABS pump there, that looks okay, but again, we're not going to know. Let's try and look at it from this angle. You can really see how bad it is, but I wanted to cut in now and just show you what we can see, and we're going to continue on, get this front, all this stuff removed from the front. Be lovely to find out why that oil's leaking everywhere, and also see if there is any other engine damage. They say luck favours the brave, and guys, we see all that oil outside. We have stripped so much off this now. We've stripped all of the damaged parts off, obviously apart from the chassis legs. They can't come off. And just as we finished there, Chris said, what about that, Rob? The earth strap, the main earth strap, you can see it's actually ripped it off. And now when you look at that chassis leg, look how bad that is, guys. That should be here. That's how far over it is. But getting back to it, they say luck favours the brave. We never had this car run. We knew it was leaking a bit of oil. It is always a concern as it broke the engine. But fortunately for us, look at that, guys. The dipstick mounting, there's no oil above it at all. The dipstick mounting has took a bit of a whack. It's only plastic and it snapped it there, and that's where the oil's leaking out. So we got very, very lucky there, very lucky indeed. We had to strip all of this out, and there was just so many bolts. You had to remove one thing to get another thing out of the way. And it was basically to remove this. Is actually a bracket for the alternator, and what else was on there? The water pump. Auxiliary belt tensioner, and the water pump was bolted to it as well. And also, as you can see, let me zoom out a bit. As you can see, it is actually a water pipe as well, one of the main water pipes. And like I say, to get to it and get to the bolts, it was a lot of work. And this is the reason why we was removing it. The bottom of it snapped off, and there is the other half of it stuck to the alternator. So all this EGR system, we had to remove that just to get this off, and it would have been something silly like it was sitting over the top of that bolt by that much, and there was nothing you could do. It all had to come out the way. In order to get that out, we had to remove the main pipe. We even removed this tank, but we have put that back on just so that we can locate the bolts, because we don't want pots and pots of bolts. But really, really moving along with it, and we're made up, Chris, aren't we, about that oil leak. Most people are upset about an oil leak, but to see it was only that, I expected, I'm not going to lie, I expected to see a big crack through this sump, and it turns out that it's just that, so that's fantastic. Underneath, everything looks fine. Even the subframe, the engine's front subframe, looks this undamaged. We put the bolts back in that as well, and they're the bits that are removed. So you can see that one is kind of straight. Look how bad that one is off the passenger side. It's moved over so much more. That one there, you can see, should be about where my hand is there. And that one there, just unbelievable how much more it moved over, and that bit of damage in there. But all very, very fixable. It is Friday afternoon. We're going to go now. We'll be back Monday morning. It's Monday and we're back. Just before we do get started this morning, I just wanted to reach out about the Range Rover LSE. Quite a lot of people always comment about the car in the background, and I've said it before, but for those of you guys that don't know, the Range Rover Classic, what I will say is all the time that car's sitting there, it is only ever going up in value. With these like later cars, obviously as they get older, they're decreasing in value. And the Range Rover Classic is actually a bit of a long-term job. And every penny that we put into that and the time at the moment, we're not going to see a return on that until it's completely done. So we do have to keep continuing on with jobs like this to obviously pay the bills and the mortgage, etc. So that's enough of that. ultimately, we always knew by the condition of this car that the engine, and it is the only way really and the best way to repair this car, that engine does need removing. So again, I'm going to try not to time lapse too much of it. So I'm going to film some live, some time lapse, and hopefully, well, it'll be the next part of the video you'll see, and we'll just try and capture as much as we can. I do appreciate quite a lot of you watching, do a bit of DIY home mechanics at home, and this is not something that can be done obviously in the garage at home, removing the engine, and I really do appreciate that. But in order to get this car repaired 100% properly, we do need to get that removed. So we're going to concentrate this morning on actually getting that complete engine and gearbox removed from that car. Let's get straight on with it. So we rolled with we was just going to get on with it, cutting, and then update you on what we have actually done, rather than trying to time lapse it or film it, because it was quite hard. So we've dropped both front legs out. You can see that both of those are on the floor now, and the brake calipers, we've roped them up right up there out of the way, and it saves disconnecting them, disconnecting the pipes, and we've got to have 2 trays underneath for dripping down until it's run out. So we've removed all of that. As you can see, we've started removing all the subframe, the engine bed. We've got a couple of bolts left in there, just hanging that on. So we're going to be ready to lower that down shortly. It's all quite straightforward, but on these new cars, you do have one thing connects to another thing. So you have to remove quite a lot of stuff all at the same time. We was going to try and leave this tray in here. So I started undoing the bolts, and then we looked into it a bit more, and well, you can't actually see it, but it does all have to come down together. So it was quite straightforward, but it's all time consuming. A lot of little bolts and different bolts, a lot of star drives and etc, etc. But we're quite happy with it. We're now going to move on and get that engine bed actually lowered down out the car. Yeah, bring it down. So we'll probably put a couple of stands underneath that. We'll undo the bolts and then slowly lift the car up, and hopefully the engine bed stays down. But we do it very slowly in case there's any wires or any little pipes attached. We don't want to cause any damage to the back of the engine. And then once all that's out of the way, we'll be able to get to a lot more stuff. I've set the camera up for this bit. Hopefully you should be able to see some of it, but if not, we don't have to use it. Chris.
Yeah. Do you want to go up a bit just to try it?
Yeah.
While they're still in?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Looking alright?
Yeah, it's holding on that now again, so. Yeah, I'm right out now. Come up very slowly.
Right.
Guys, them axle stands may not balance it too good, so it may fall off.
Ready?
Yep. 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 1 second. There's one more little clip on those. No, those 2 wires you unplug. That's right, got it. Right, go up a little bit more. What's it looking like your side?
Yeah, it's looking clear.
Yeah.
How balanced is it?
Not very good.
I don't think the steering column's released yet. Have a look.
I've moved my stand a little bit further forward. It seems to be balancing it a little bit better.
Oh, it's coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, up a little bit more then, mate. Yep. 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 All the way. hopefully that looked quite good on camera, that coming off. I am holding it. We almost got that balance.
Cable, Rob.
Cable, no, it's not connected. We almost got that balance perfect there. I just took my gloves off, haven't I, to turn the camera on. So there we go. And there is your subframe, engine bed. And as you can see now, everything is so much more easier for us to get to. All the bolts for the exhaust, everything's right there, right in front of us. Perfect. This ratchet, guys, I know I've said it time and time again, but if you ain't got one of these, you really don't know what you're missing out on. It just cuts the job in half. You can't undo really tight bolts with them, but you wouldn't want to with any battery ratchet. Yeah, mate. It's dropping now.
We'll just take a couple of pumps.
Has that got it?
It's only
I won't undo that one, Chris, because that's going to probably jolt and move it away from where you are.
will be staying a bit, can't it?
There is. Oh, I'll see, that's separate to even that piece. That's quite a lot of pieces, that one engine now.
Yeah.
What, 6 pieces? I've got the right size on the end of it if you want me to factory it out.
This is the biggest size. Is that
Yeah, I've got it on there, yeah. Both that,
Yeah,
right?
we'll shut them back in a minute. Jammed in there.
Yes, just a little tiny pry underneath for it. That's it. Oh, there's a nice kink under that.
Yeah.
Two small ones, yeah?
Those two are through there.
Do I have that off as well? I think that'll probably come past that, won't it?
Yeah, I don't think so, because there's clearance on the bottom.
Yeah.
Just that gearbox on it.
Yeah. Is that the bigger one or the smaller one?
Either one.
Ready?
Yeah.
That's it, all out.
Well, I'll let you go on the lie.
What side do you reckon?
Well, we just let it go
Really slow.
go a couple of inches.
Yeah.
I think there's something still on there.
Not this side, there's not.
It's just out of balance, isn't it?
Got down on it, is it?
It's nice out of balance. We're going to have to put that strap in there. Something that looking.
Gets that far enough away, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
And that's just
Exhaust bracket.
yeah.
I'm going to pull forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Go down a little bit more.
Down a bit.
Yeah. That's it, mate. Right. Wiring loom here. I just need to fold it. Yeah, if you come down a little bit more, Chris, just past the chassis. Yeah, it's got a bit tight there. It's got cold where it's so bent. Yeah, I'm going to put it over this one and
Alright.
yeah, try that.
Now, what you done first? Pull it forward your side. No, go back that side, Rob. Pull the engine forward. Ready? Good. Too much. Just split the difference. That's it.
Well, stop there a sec. I just want to check all these trays. Yeah, that is literally just the exhaust. I'm just going to pull it past the mount. That's it. Right, we come down another few inches. Yeah, looks good, mate. Stop there a sec. I think
Yeah, we're good.
we're good. So,
Stick the trolley under, Rob.
yeah, it'll fit in that gap, won't it?
Yeah.
You never know, there's always some little tiny bits that you could miss. And you don't want to end up ripping it out and breaking them, so it's just worth taking, should we go sideways? Or?
Yeah, you've got enough room.
It's always worth taking that little tiny bit extra more time. To you a bit, yeah?
I don't know, let it get
That's
a
it.
bit nearer.
Go on, mate, it's lovely.
Got plenty?
Yeah. Perfect.
You want me to block under the back?
I think that's sat on there, hasn't it?
No, it's obviously
Is it
not
not?
right, yeah. There's a wedge under here.
There's a couple of blocks here. Go right in the middle of that one. Yeah. Go there. Ain't really gonna do it like that one, but try that, mate.
She's landing.
Lovely. Look at that. Well, we've got 10 minutes there. I don't think we'll be able to add all that in.
No.
That's the engine sitting on a trolley. Really easy for us to manoeuvre around the workshop and move it from place to place if we need to now. We have had a quick look over it and there doesn't appear to be any damage on it at all. So we got really, really lucky with that engine. And I think we knew that the minute we see that oil leaking out above the dipstick. So the chassis can be seen a bit better now. The damage here and this kink in here, you couldn't actually really see. A lot of these little lumps and bumps you will see on various cars and chassis legs, they're actually in there for a reason and they're designed to actually crumple at these certain points. And if you can see from there back, there's not actually any damage. So the other side, you can certainly see, Chris did give that a bit of a wipe over. You can certainly see now just how bad that chassis leg did go. And then now we've got nothing in here as well. You can see it was very bad. Originally, when we first pulled this in to do a video on it, we just wanted to make that list of parts that we definitely needed and try and just get the whole lot sourced and ordered. We have already got quite a lot of bits for this car, but we do need a lot more parts for it. So it was really nice to strip it. And I think Chris would agree. We got kind of carried away there, didn't we? Took everything out and we've got the engine out. It is ready to go on the frame machine, but of course we do need them parts. The other thing is we didn't want to get this in the workshop because now, as you can see, this is immobilised. In the real world, there's not really any way of moving it. If you was doing this in any garage, you can't really move it. But we have come up with a bit of a plan because we can't have this in the workshop taking up the ramp. We've already got the LSE there, so we're going to flick straight over. We've got a plan to actually get this car back outside, and then we're going to bring all the parts in and continue making the little bit of a list that we do need. So let's crack on with that. Just had a bit of a sort out there and put everything that we're completely happy with's fine. Laid it all out on the jig there. We know that all that stuff's good and everything in that pot, and there's also a pot in the other stuff. Unfortunately, this is all the stuff we do need and much, much more. I do have quite a few little bits and pieces that I've been picking up off of eBay, but there is quite a lot of stuff still that we haven't got. So we've got the bonnet and hinges. The old ones are outside. We're going to need to get those. Both wheel arch liners, front wing off of the near side, complete front panel. Now all of this put together in a front panel wouldn't look nowhere near this much stuff, but where it's just obliterated and all them bits were missing, we never got them with it. So we need a full rad pack with a full front panel, with all the crash limiters, the crash bar, the chassis extensions, front bumper complete, airbox, both front headlights, the lower, do you know what, it's gone out of my mind there, but the lower chassis extensions, we need those. The list is endless. Chris is just sitting there now writing out all of the other bits we do need. So we'll just continue on collecting as many of these bits as we possibly can. I mentioned to Chris last week that quite a lot of people did keep reaching out and asking about the GLA. So he said, Rob, let's get it in. Let's make a start on it. We need to do that extensive list anyway. So we kind of wanted to get as much done as we could in this video. As you know, we don't like dragging them out. So that's the full strip down now. That's completely done. So, and we pretty much can get on with what we need to do in the background. So for you guys, it's a nice long video, and of course we do hope that you did enjoy it. So that is going to be the end of today's video. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support, your continued support, the comments, the thumbs up, all of it. We really, really do appreciate it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Like, subscribe and share. Check out the merchandise. The link is in the description, and we'll see you very, very soon in the next one.